It's summer break, but we still have a lot to talk about. We have some of the lowest player counts we've ever seen for the ranked playlist. Why is this happening? Do I think Fortnite competitive is dying? We also finally got to see Pete's full trio up against Pollo's full trio at Demon's Domain. The first time we've seen this since Pete got 5-1 during the Div Cup finals. I'll talk about who's coming out on top and what I think it means for the Peterbot fans who have been taking a lot of L's at the moment. I also want to talk about Savage's team splitting up and then getting back together again. We have a lot of talk from different trios about who they're going to play next year with, which has started a bunch of debates over who would be the best duos again, who would be the best trios, and I want to talk about my big announcement that you may have missed. So there's a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. I am officially back from my vacation. I'm sorry for leaving you guys. I appreciate the patience. Looks like I didn't miss that much in the week that I was gone. Any of the stuff that I missed, I'll put at the end of today's video, like Savage's trio splitting and then them getting back together again. Pete saying he wants to skip to the end of the year and play with Pollo again. But I do want to talk about our first proper head-to-head between Peterbot's trio and Pollo's trio since the Div 1 Cup finals. The last tournament we had before I went away at the end of, before this break, we had Pollo go up against Pete and 5-1 them. There was a lot of pressure on Peterbot's trio to see how they were going to respond. Are they going to switch drops? Are they going to start contesting clicks? Are they going to leave entirely? No, they are still going Demon's Domain, and we saw a few times in scrims over the last week where a few players were playing, like there might be 2 players on the trio going at it, but in today's scrims, we managed to have 6 games, so pretty much a finals of straight Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual versus Pollo, Acorn, and Aegis. Both full trios going at it, and they were very locked in because we had them streaming it. Ritual streamed the last session, Aegis streamed the first one, and I don't want to hear any kind of, oh, they were messing around, they were joking, they weren't taking it that serious. They were pretty locked in. Peterbot's comms in the off spawn sounded as serious as grand finals. I was kind of shocked to actually see how serious they were taking it, and it was 3-3. We had Pete's team win 3 and we had Pollo's team win 3. The first session, the first 3 games, we had Pollo's team take it 2-1, and I thought like, oh, this could be bad. Pete's team managed to win 1, but then in the last session of the day, we had Pete's team take it 2-1. Now, both teams absolutely popped off when they made it off spawn. Both trios are not looking bad at all when they make it off spawn. They're looking like we expect from 2 of the best teams in the world. But in the actual spawn fight, it is quite even right now, and Pete, again, has been copying a lot of heat for not being that locked in, not grinding that much. We actually got to see today their levels, and it's kind of crazy. For people saying that Cold is the one not locked in, Cold's not grinding, I think Cold's like level 220 something, Ritual's almost level 300, and Peterbot's level 100. I think he's not even level 100. So at the moment, we haven't seen Pete fully locked in grinding like a lot of people were hoping so, but they did look a lot better in these scrims of spawn than what they did in the Div 1 Cup finals. Now, because this is on stream and because a lot of people love kind of farming drama whenever it comes to Pete and Pollo, a lot of people are going to say that Pete, Ritual, and Cold were crashing out on each other. I've already seen clips, people putting on Twitter saying, oh man, they were crashing out on each other, they're going in, they hate each other. The vibes are actually surprisingly good. I'll show you a clip that kind of shows them crashing out, and I'll let you guys be the judge.
You're crazy, bro.
Okay, anyways.
If I was 50-50ing Acorn, I would literally fuck the shit out of him, bro.
What?
I would literally...
What?
Dude. Dude, it's fucking Gooncorn. Like, bro, it is the easiest 50-50 to win on the planet Earth, bro. Like, bro.
Okay, anyways, it was my marker, by the way. Like, they hit mine. I just want to...
Oh yeah, and you're fucking horrible at marking, by the way.
I think it was mostly them having a bit of fun. They were talking a bit of smack and they were kind of being constructive with each other, but it wasn't like full on raging each other. They actually were laughing the whole time, having a lot of fun in these off spawns. One of the games they went down, Pete wanted to prove to Cold and Ritual that he is by far the best on their team at off spawn. They started doing 1v2 off spawn. So Peterbot queuing in as a solo up against Cold and Ritual as a duo. And to be honest, Pete proved that he wasn't the issue. I think he won like 5-1 or something. I think he won 5 of the 6 games, and I think all of them he got down first and got the gun, except for maybe 1 game. The only time Cold's team could beat them is because they were a team. They got down and got multiple guns and then took Pete down. But Pete had the best drop every single time. Pete did also make several comments about how he's going to go onto the Wu-Ting, and he's referencing the fact that he wants to switch to the Wu-Ting keyboard. I did a bit of research and I talked to a few people about why this might be. And a lot of people saying that apparently Wu-Ting software is actually much faster for input delay, which could be used for getting the gun, but if you're using scroll wheel pickup, having a faster keyboard doesn't do anything. That would only help if you were going to set up a macro. So this could have again been a joke. Apparently there is very real reasons that Wu-Ting is actually better for macroing and getting guns. And I know there's a huge conversation around macros, and yes, they're against terms of service, but no, Fortnite has never banned anyone for it. So a lot of people just assume that every single pro is using them. I almost assume that most pros are using it at this point, but the Wu-Ting is banned on LAN for multiple reasons. It's the only keyboard, as far as I know, that is actually banned on LAN. But it is worth pointing out in a lot of these spawn fights between Pete and Cold and Ritual as well, not just Pete against Poyo's team. So you can't call me a Peterbot fan and just saying, oh, Pete's just not getting the gun and that, you know, I'm just kind of making excuses. But for some reason, Pete does seem to get down first, even against Cold and Ritual, and almost never get the gun. So I don't know what's going on there, because I was always used to Pete getting the gun first every single time. I mean, I literally banked on that at the Pro-Am. In the last games we were contested, there was like no doubt in my mind Peterbot was going to get the gun first, because he just always gets the gun first. But apparently for some reason up against Poyo's team and against Ritual and Cold, it just seems to not be happening anymore. So don't really know what's going on there. You will probably see this clip here that I'll show you of Cold and Ritual's drops not looking too hot. Not really sure what happened this game. I think it was a bit of a miscommunication on the marks of where you actually have to pull the gliders. It's clearly not very good looks for Cold and Ritual. They did have significantly worse drops, but hey, for the Peterbot fans, 3-3, not too bad. The Session 3 leaderboard of the scrim's a little bit bugged, but again, to point out how good both teams are doing when they make it off spawn, Pete's one game making it off spawn in Session 2, they got a 15 elim second, and in the 2 games the Poyo's team made it off spawn, they got a 16 elim win and a 10 elim fourth. So again, both these trios showing why they want to lock down Demon's Domain, both of them showing they're still 2 of the best trios in the world, but they're still contesting each other. They're still going at it, and at this point, I feel like it's getting too late. I think these teams are genuinely going to contest each other in grands, and it's going to be a little bit ridiculous because it's getting late in the season now. One of them could leave and try to maybe out for a different POI, but they're basically just giving the win to another team then. I mean, whichever team is left is pretty much going to be them versus Clicks most likely for the grand finals win. Yeah, we could have a big pop-off performance from, like, you know, Kanata's team or maybe from Booga's team, stuff like that, but for the most part, they know that if they leave Demon's Domain uncontested, that team has a huge chance of winning grands, and there is going to be a little bit of ego involved in here. As much as both teams seem quite friendly with each other, there is going to be a little bit of heat there, leaving the drop and seeing how much success they have and knowing that could have been you. But there's another part to that as well. We have LAN right around the corner. We have LAN in less than 2 months from now. So leaving your drop spot right now is not a good signal, and it means a lot. It could potentially mean hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I know why people are getting confused about what is going to be happening with Pete versus Poyo. Why aren't they leaving? What's going on? Right now, this means more than just this FNCS. You have to remember, especially on NA, the prize pool is considerably higher at globals. So right now, you could argue that, you know, both these teams playing for like a top 5, maybe like a top 3 if one of them does really well. I know some people seem to think that Pete or Poyo could win grands off this contested drop. I honestly didn't think Poyo's team was going to win 5-1 and win a final. So maybe my opinion is just wrong at this point, but I don't think Pete or Poyo could end up winning while contesting another team in a 12-game format when you have teams as good as Clicks at a drop spot as good as Academy. So I'm not entirely sure, but they could at least get a top 5 or top 3, which is still decent money, which would then keep their rep intact going into globals and then potentially win globals to have a big pop off there. So I'm not really sure. A lot of us were hoping on the Superman update to have a switch in drop spots, but if you've watched any of my previous videos, we now have the date confirmed of the Superman update from Fortnite. It is going to be coming out on the 11th, which is only a few days away, which I thought Epic was still on break, so I don't really know exactly how that's going to work. It does mean we're going to have the Superman update out for a few days for the Eval Cup, then we're going to have the Eval Cup, and then we're jumping into FNCS. So hopefully the Superman update doesn't completely break the game, but the POI looks very, very average right now. So I don't think either team will be leaving to go there. So I don't know what's going to change. Maybe we get a buff to another POI. Maybe we have Academy nerfed like a lot of people are talking about. There has been in the game files, you know, dialogue that talks about the fall of Supernova Academy. A lot of people thinking that might make the POI terrible. That means Clix' team will need to find a new drop spot. So maybe that could change up the dynamic of who drops where. But right now, it looks like nothing's changing. One thing I do hope the Superman update changes is the player base. Now, I've been away for a week. Like I said, I came back. I've now got a trip planned to North America. I'm going to be heading to Dallas in a week. I'll talk about that in a little bit in the video. It's going to be super exciting, but I kind of wanted to lock in and play the game a little bit, you know, unwatch a bit before I can then, you know, make some content with the pros when I get to NA. And oh boy, I didn't realize how bad it's gotten, especially for Battle Royale. So I took this image yesterday at pretty much peak player base time, and as you can see, some of the game modes are fine. We have Blitz Royale at 166,000 players, Battle Royale zero build at 154,000, and then we have regular Battle Royale at 129,000. So Blitz Royale and zero builds both beating it out, but the one you might see here that is extremely concerning is the Battle Royale ranked playlist. 21,500 players. Steal the Brain Rot, a creative map made by one team, has over twice as many players as the ranked playlist in builds on all regions combined. That is kind of terrifying. Fortnite OG has over double the player base of the Battle Royale ranked playlist. Lego has more players than Battle Royale ranked. Something is very wrong right now, and I mean, we can point to lots of things. We can say it's the pom-poms. People obviously hate when there's a super OP mythic item in ranked. Most players want to play ranked to have a good competitive experience. They want to get better at the game, and having an item like that just ruins it. Also, the success of Reload right now. Squid Game Reload map just came out. As you can see, Reload ranked has 121,000 players. You know, 100,000 more than what Battle Royale ranked has. So obviously a lot of people will be playing Reload ranked that would be playing Battle Royale ranked, but right now Reload's just better. The loot pool's awesome. The new map's really fun. I've jumped in. I'm enjoying it. It makes more sense to play that. I have a lot of people saying that it's Blitz Royale that's ruining Battle Royale. You know, everyone's playing that instead and it's Blitz Royale's fault. I don't think so. Blitz Royale is a very casual experience. It's zero builds for one. It's very fast-paced games. Most people who care about playing the game seriously and wanting to improve aren't playing Blitz Royale, so I don't think it's really taking too many of the players from Ranked Battle Royale. I think it's more of a sign that Ranked just sucks right now. There's no reason to grind ranked. It doesn't feel competitive rewarding. It doesn't feel fun, and because they've removed all the cash cups from this season, a lot of people who usually would grind the game to try to get better just don't care. Just go play something else and enjoy the game or play a different game. I'm not going to try and pretend that the removal of cash cups wouldn't have an impact on this player base. It's sad to see. I'm really hoping that my theory of Fortnite trying to improve the anti-cheat with these upcoming updates will hopefully see cash cups return next season. I'm not expecting we're just going to remove solo and trio cash cups or all cash cups from the game in general, but it's not a surprise that after 2 seasons with no real cash cups for up and coming players to play, they're not playing the game mode that's, you know, designed for up-and-coming players to improve. It just makes sense. So I don't think it's just the pom-pom item. I don't think it's just Blitz Royale. I don't think it's just Reload. And I don't think it's just the cash cups. I think it's a combination of all these factors that's leading to a very, very significant drop in the ranked playlist. Now, I did just talk about it a little bit, but I am heading to NA. It's been a while since I've been there. I'm flying out on the 18th right after FNCS play-ins, and I'm going to be in NA in Dallas streaming from the Dig House for all the rest of FNCS and the new season. And why am I telling you? Because there's going to be a whole bunch of cool content for you guys to look out for. I'm doing a whole bunch of sick content with Dignitas. If you guys like watching IRL content with the Fortnite pros, we're pumping a bunch of that out. My Twitch and YouTube streams are going to be leveled up. We're going to have a producer on site who's going to be mixing a bunch of my streams. So I have the Dig players POVs as well as whatever else I'm watching. So I can watch the broadcast. We can then have Cooper's live reaction if he wins a game or pops off. We can watch the off spawn, Acorn versus Pete, all that good stuff. So if you've been looking forward to content like that, keep an eye out. It's going to be awesome. I will be there for about a month. I'm going with my wife and daughter. I'm putting a lot of time and effort into this, a lot of thought. I've been working on this behind the scenes for a while, been teasing you guys with some big announcements. This isn't half of it. This is just the first big announcement. We have more coming in the future, but for those of you guys who have been paying attention, it's going to be very, very cool. And I don't have to get up at 2 a.m. anymore to watch tournaments. Now, some of the stuff I missed while I was away, and maybe you guys missed as well, we had Savage's trio splitting up, but then getting back together. So we had Savage, Chap, and Rezon split, with Savage and Rezon looking for a third. Some people saying they were trialing out Shark, but I think that was just a bit of a content farm. Shark is still very much with his trio, but Chap was leaving to go play with Yanis, and apparently he's already back. They didn't even wait until tournaments. Apparently maybe a few scrim sessions or just a couple days was enough. Chap is now back with Savage and Rezon. So that trio is still together. As far as I can see, they still plan on going the resistance base, so I guess we'll see how they go again. A lot of people have been talking about whether this trio splits. Their vibes have stayed good, but for how individually good each of those players are, their placements haven't really backed it up yet. But it looks like they're still confident. They're going to give it another crack, and we should see them queuing up FNCS together. We did have a little bit of drama with Poyo and Ages and Pete and them all kind of having a conversation on different streams about what their plans for next year would be. We had Poyo reveal that Peterbot told him he just wants to fast forward the rest of this year. He just wants to get it over and done with. We had then Pete talking about how next year he wants to play with Ages, and Poyo mentioned he also wants to play with Yomzo, kind of going through the potential trios that he would play with, and it kind of gave everyone a bit of a concern of, you're still in the current season. We're not even in LAN event yet. Right now, we have FNCS in a month. We have LAN in 2 months. We really want to see that trio locked in right now to potentially have Pete go back-to-back in LANs. And until I saw today's off spawns and the scrims, it did have me a little bit worried as well. Pete hasn't been logging on as much, hasn't been grinding as much, and people, you know, pointing towards this as an example of just he doesn't like his teammates. He can't wait till the year's over. He wants to go play with different trios and just kind of get this year over and done with. But after seeing them play together on stream, honestly, their vibes did seem really solid. Pete is still phenomenal off spawn. I don't think he is the issue at all. My man is still definitely getting down first. When they make it off spawn, they're looking really solid. But yeah, it kind of, you know, contributes to what we've been talking about of Pete just seeming like he's a little bit burnt out. He's just not dedicating as much time to the game as what he normally does. I didn't think I was ever going to see Cold over twice as high of a level as Peterbot at any point in Fortnite ever. Cold's the guy who, you know, used to just not get on ever until Cash Cups or FNCS, and right now he's over twice as the high level as Peterbot. The guy we just saw is the never gets off the game, dedicates his life to it, just never ever budges. But that looks like just times change. We'll have to see how that affects the rest of the season and going into globals. I really do think that for globals especially, Pete will be locked in. I just can't see Pete knowing he's going to be playing on a big stage at a LAN event with that much on the line and not lock in and start grinding. So we'll see what happens, but I did want to at least address it. It did happen a few days ago. I was a lot more worried seeing these clips until I saw them play off spawn today and saw their vibes are pretty solid. I think if all three of them do start to lock in and actually start grinding a fair bit more together, it will improve them a lot. Ritual's been playing a bunch of off spawns on stream. If you ever watch Ritual's Twitch streams, pretty much every night he's running off spawns against his viewers. He's running scrims with different players. You see him playing with Cold a little bit. Cold is still grinding on his own. Like I said, he's over level 200, but they haven't really been playing much together as a trio. Meanwhile, Acorn, Ages, and Poyo, or at least mostly Ages, Poyo, and then usually Yumi filling in for Acorn, have been playing a lot of sessions. It is worth mentioning before Peterbot gets targeted with all this hate and oh my god, they're not locked in, and Acorn's team is. Acorn himself is roughly the same level as Peterbot. Again, he's like level 100, whereas Poyo and Ages are much, much higher level. So it's not like Pete's the only one not locked in, not grinding right now. He doesn't want it bad, and every other pro is giving it their all. It is that point right now. We've gone from a 1 month weird season during Star Wars where there wasn't really anything, and now we've had 2 Div Cups, and then we've gone into like a 2.5 week break again. But once this FNCS starts, it is going to feel like a mad dash for the rest of the competitive year, because again, by the time FNCS starts, it is 6 weeks until Globals is over. This FNCS, the entire FNCS, a new season and Globals in 6 weeks. It's going to be crazy.